Hello. Hi. Oh, I gotta give you a big hug.
Oh, so good
I'm like your super fan.
Oh
so.
my gosh, so great to meet you.
How are you? I'm Soleil. My name is Soleil Frye, and Tyler may have seen me on the show that I did from the time I was a little girl, Punky Brewster, or Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which I did with my really good friend Melissa Joan Hart, who loves Tyler.
Great. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I saw the show and loved it immediately. And then, of course, my very dear friend Melissa Joan Hart did it, and she said, "You gotta do this."
Oh, that was crazy. I don't know how he knew all that stuff.
And so I was very excited. And I also lost some family early on in my life, and I love any chance I can to connect.
So have you ever gotten read by a medium?
I've gotten read, yes.
Nice. Awesome.
I have my mom watching today. She is such a special part of my life, and I'll get emotional, but like, she's just my rock. She raised me as a single mom with my brother, and she was just always there. And she'll probably remember things that I won't remember because she remembers everything. So I'm happy that she's here.
Certain people on the other side are better communicators than others, so my job is always to go with the strongest communicator. I have people coming through already. Like I can't even get through my speech. Okay. For one, I feel like I have to acknowledge man, Cancer. I'm bringing this up. I feel like I start lower and it spreads upper. There's a feeling immediately that comes through of him being like, "You're gonna have to drag me to a doctor." And he put it in a bit of a different way than I would put it, but it's like, I don't want to have to get chemotherapy, get radiation, go through this whole thing. I'm done. I feel like I don't want to sacrifice my quality of life by doing these things that I feel are going to deteriorate the time that I have. You know who that could potentially be? Perfect.
That would be my godfather, Joseph, who was a huge part of my life. He walked me down the aisle at my wedding, and he's always been there from the day I was born on. He wanted to go in the most peaceful way possible. He certainly went on his own terms,
right.
In everything in life.
Right, no, absolutely. He comes through with this and acknowledges this was my decision, and I just want everyone to be okay with that. That would be the first message.
Losing Joseph was one of the hardest experiences of our life. He was a second dad to me. He was such an incredible force of light and love and joy in our lives.
It's so weird because at the time, there's a feeling of like, I'm not at home and I need to get home. The feeling is like being in a familiar environment.
Before he passed, he came to be with my family.
Right.
And then at the very end, he went back to his home.
The reason why I want to bring this up is because he's acknowledging a feeling of when others were afraid to see him. He's giving an appreciation for the fact that you didn't back down. And his feeling is like, look, I know who wasn't there.
Yeah.
And you were.
Absolutely.
And his perspective is basically thank you, because from where I'm at now, I know the truth of who really cared about me and maybe who just said they cared about me in life. And the feeling is thank you, because the feeling is like you're gonna face this ugly truth, but you still love me enough to be there for me when other people stand back. And that's the best thing that could have been done for him.
It was incredibly hard to say goodbye, and I'll never forget, he came to our home in California, and he had cancer throughout his body, and we set up a bed in the dining room, and I would curl up into bed with him, and we would just talk all day and night. And I think the one thing that gets me through it is that belief that there's more to all of this.
This is strange. Okay. I'll just go with it. Let's see what pops in. Okay, so I'm seeing art supplies, I'm seeing an art brush. So this is very clearly very much about art symbology. Who would have been the artist or had the art connection?
My dad was an artist.
Okay.
My father's name was Virgil Frye. He was a boxer, he was a Golden Glove champion, he was an actor, he was a painter, he was a political activist.
Wow.
Yes, he was a very colorful person.
Yes, that's incredible. So do you have any objects for him?
Sure.
We'll see what we start with.
Here we go.
Awesome. Oh, wow, okay, it's a big object. All right, we'll see what comes through. Okay. So it's interesting the way this comes across, because he comes through and he acknowledges a reference of having to kind of take on, Taking care of mom, taking care of mom, taking care of mom. Taking care of mom. It just keeps coming through over and over and over again. Let's see what this is. Is mom still living currently?
Yes.
Okay. I hope so. I'm talking about where she's at physically, and I feel like mom who is living somewhere else, maybe living with us, or thinking about making a move, or thinking about bringing her closer. I feel like mom has to get closer. It's coming through over and over again. And again, it's coming through from dad of a feeling like get her closer, bring her closer.
We've been talking about it.
It's popping in. Does that make any sense?
Yes. My mom and dad separated when I was very young, but they stayed friends throughout my life. So their friendship ran so deep, and so there was always so much love there. My mother's living situation right now is very tough. And there's been a lot of questions about us wanting her to be closer, certainly.
Sure. Just give me one sec. Oh. And then he's actually watching over your mother's health. This is interesting because he's having me talk about her health, and then he's having me bring up the past 4 months. Wow. Do you, at this point actually I'm kind of curious because these messages came through from mom really, really strongly. So to whatever extent you're comfortable sharing, what's going on with mom?
My mom found that she had breast cancer. So she's been going through those treatments as well.
Wow. Please know I think that she's gonna be okay. Oh. Yeah, this is so weird. He's been with her every single day.
My dad?
Yeah. For like 4 months randomly. I know it's kind of strange.
It's been exactly 4 months.
And he never let go of her. He never ever let go. Usually after a while they'll kind of visit less, but he's still very connected to her. He's showing her having to get tests, and he's having me acknowledge these 2 tests that I have to bring up of like we go in for testing twice. And there's a feeling that comes through of like, I don't want us to be concerned about this because I feel like this sounds a lot scarier than it could be. And I definitely think it would be a good idea to have her, because it's like, we're in, have her come closer.
Yes. I want her closer.
Her thing is not wanting to be taken care of. And this is the thing that comes through. Dad comes through and acknowledges immediately like, I know. Because it's like it's like pulling teeth. It's like she just does not want to be a burden, so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
we have to acknowledge this, thank you.
To hear that my dad's been with her throughout this medical process was incredibly emotional. To know that there's that protection, that love is wonderful. You are holding some of my father's ashes.
Oh, wow, okay.
But he would love being on camera because he certainly loved the spotlight.
That's interesting. Held a lot of unique objects in my time, but it's awesome.
Can we talk to dead people all day
You
long?
know it. I'll be here. I'll just be scribbling. I'll run out of ink.
I was so blown away by what my dad was saying about my mom, and he couldn't have been more accurate in what's been going on with her. The one thing that, gets me through it is that I have such a strong belief in there being more, and that there's more to all of this. And so I think that's something that's very comforting. He's amazing. He's amazing. He's amazing. Crazy. It was so incredible and just so beautiful to be able to connect.